Many treat flow state like a mystical experience. They think it's a superpower where they become untouchable. It is not. Flow is simply a state of near zero latency processing. It is what happens when the hardware of your body perfectly executes the code of your mind without buffering. This means that you respond so fluidly that the delay between thought and action feels like it doesn't exist. But for many, this connection is severed before the first punch is thrown, and they think they lack talent. They are wrong. They lack alignment. Their hardware cannot sync with their software. Today, we diagnose 9 blockers of flow in combat, and we're going to learn how to deal with them. Some have physical origins, and some have mental ones. Let's begin. Part 1. The hardware. Physical flow blockers. Starting with the first blocker, the suffocation or poor endurance. Fatigue is the ultimate flow killer, but not for the reason people usually think. It is not just about our muscles getting tired. It is about our brain. You cannot run high-performance software on a worn-down hardware. In the tech world, when a processor overheats, it throttles. It intentionally slows down to prevent damage. Your brain does something similar when reaching energy limits. In this state, most of your energy shifts towards survival mode. The brain consumes about 20% of your body's oxygen. So when oxygen drops, your body enacts a power-saving mode. It minimizes the expensive machinery first. The first thing to go? The prefrontal cortex. Your creativity, your intuition, your strategy. Consequently, you can't reach a state of the prefrontal cortex where flow is possible. Said simply, a state where something is challenging and at the same time enjoyable enough. So, you cannot flow when your system is in power save mode. The moment oxygen levels dip, your processing speed slows down. You aren't just tired, you are cognitively limited. You switch from intuitive creator to desperate survivor. There are 2 solutions for this block. You can either train a lot to improve VO2 max or train for carbon dioxide tolerance. The first one, higher VO2 max equals more oxygen to the brain. VO2 max is the maximum amount of oxygen your body can utilize during intense exercise. Think of this as upgrading the size of your battery and the thickness of the charging cable. If you increase your VO2 max, a physical task that used to demand 90% of your capacity might now only demand 60%. Consequently, the power-saving mode, brain throttling, is triggered much later because you aren't hitting your energy limit as quickly. The second solution, increasing carbon dioxide tolerance, means teaching your brain to desensitize to panic alarm triggers when in low oxygen mode. Personally, I recommend the first one. Just build your endurance, increase VO2 max, and you will handle this block very well. In simple terms, you overcome the suffocation block by either increasing the supply of resources or decrease the panic caused by scarcity. The second blocker is processing lag or lack of muscle memory. Flow requires unconscious competence when it comes to movement and techniques, but many are stuck in the processing lag. A conscious decision, like choosing to step left, takes roughly half a second. A reflexive response happens in a fraction of that time, often under a tenth of a second. If you have to think, I need to step left and throw a hook, you are already too late for flow because you are engaging your prefrontal cortex in a way that makes flow impossible. It's like you are waking up the CEO to micromanage a task that should be automated. You cannot achieve hypofrontality, that balance between challenge and enjoyment, while simultaneously keeping the frontal cortex highly active to manage movement. Flow and conscious processing use mutually exclusive brain networks. You are essentially trying to run 2 opposing operating systems at the same time, which is impossible. It's like your RAM or your bandwidth of how much you can pay attention to at one single moment is full. So that's when the crash happens, your system freezes and you get stuck. The fix here is just drilling moves so you build the necessary muscle memory. You need to transition from just drilling repetitions to encoding the skill in your nervous system. You are looking for automaticity, where the stimulus triggers the response automatically without conscious decision making. This reminds me of the quote from Morpheus.
Come on, stop trying to hit me and hit me.
Moving on to the third blocker, a glass cannon, or a poorly conditioned body. This is different from fear. This is about the hardware's ability to absorb shock. A body that is not conditioned to take damage creates hesitation. If you fear impact, your system holds back. It instinctively prioritizes preservation over offense. You move cautiously and you hold the emergency brake. On the other hand, when your body knows it can absorb the shock, the mind feels safe to let go. You cannot attack freely if you are terrified of the exchange. You must build the armor to free the pilot. As you can imagine, the solution to this block is the classic impact conditioning. You must build a body that feels strong under stress and feels confident to take some hits. Robustness creates the permission to let go. Blocker number 4, excess tension. Flow is fluid. Tension is rigid. For instance, if you carry chronic tension in your shoulders, you have to load up before you move. You telegraph. You are like driving a car with the parking brake on. To handle this block, implement radical relaxation as you move. Learn to carry zero tension until the millisecond of impact.
Float like a butterfly and sting like a bee.
You tense when you sting or when you block and then relax again. This clears the signal path in your nervous system so the information is processed smoothly. Until now, we explored the block that were mostly physical. Now let's move on to the blocks that are more psychological. The 5th blocker, the amygdala firewall. Simply put, fear of getting hit. Fear is the ultimate malware. Evolution designed your brain to treat a punch to the face as a survival threat, not a competitive event. When fear spikes, the amygdala hijacks the controls and initiates shell mode. It shifts control from the strategist to the survivor. You stop looking for opportunities like predator vigilant to hunt the prey. You start looking for safety. A turtle withdrawn to its shell may feel safe, but it cannot hunt. To enter flow, you must recode the brain to categorize impact not as damage, but as loud information. If you cannot bypass this instinctive and psychological firewall, you can't access your full skill set. An effective way to handle the amygdala firewall is stress inoculation. It is a training approach where you're gradually and safely exposed to stress, so your mind and body learn to stay functional under pressure. Think of it like a vaccine for stress. Small, controlled doses now will help you cultivate resilience over time. You are deliberately hacking your own nervous system, exposing it to pressure in small doses so that when more intense chaos hits, your operating system doesn't crash, it adapts. The 6th blocker, outcome attachment, which often manifests as fear of losing. This is often confused with the previous block, but it's different. Distinct from the fear of physical pain, which originates directly from the amygdala, this is the fear of shame that originates from the ego. It is the fear of looking bad or foolish, the fear of losing status. This fear doesn't make fighters freeze, it makes them stick always to fighting safely or hesitantly. But the thing is that risk, to a certain degree, is both part of combat and flow, so you must be willing to risk getting hit to deliver a hit. Too much safety-seeking behavior inhibits the creativity needed for flow. I like to use 2 ways to overcome this block. The practice of thought cutting, which is basically what is known in Zen as mushin, and thought replacement, which resonates with the Stoic idea of synkatathesis, the discipline of assent. Outcome attachment can work like a parasite, so you must cut it from your mind as soon as possible. The thought-cutting method acts like the task manager in your computer that shuts down unwanted activity that slows it down. In a similar way, your brain often opens a background window called the observer. This is the voice asking, "What if I lose?" This background process eats up massive amounts of your focus and creates latency. Thought cutting is the command to end task. You do not argue with the voice. You do not minimize the window. You kill the process immediately. As soon as a self-conscious thought appears, you sever the neural connection instantly. You don't entertain the thought. You cut it. This clears the cache and returns your processing power to the immediate moment. Then there is thought replacement. Sometimes simply cutting the thought isn't enough, as the system needs instructions. This is where you can use thought replacement. Many people have auto-accept turned on in their mind. They miss a punch and think, I missed it. That is instantly accepted as a judgment like, I'm slow and embarrassing. And here their mind crashes. With thought replacement, or the stoic discipline of assent, you do the manual override. It is the ability to catch the mental impulse, pause, and replace the judgment before it writes to your mindset and body. The more you practice this, the more it becomes an automatic habit. You refuse to assent to the fake news that you are a failure, and instead assent to the idea that you are learning. In other words, thought cutting frees up your attention. Thought replacement optimizes your mental patterns. Now let's continue with the seventh blocker, analysis paralysis. That's like trying to solve a fight like a math problem. But combat is mostly chaos, and it moves too fast for linear logic. So a fighter who looks for the perfect counter enters an infinite processing loop. You analyze, and then you get hit. The fix here is to leave the logic for the film study. In the fight, rely mostly on pattern recognition, not step-by-step reasoning. Intuition is faster than logic. Analysis paralysis can also happen due to a coaching error. The human working memory can only hold 3 to 4 variables at once. When your corner shouts 5 or more commands at once, it overloads your brain. As a result, your system freezes because it is trying to run too many data simultaneously. So you end up doing nothing because you are trying to do everything. Flow requires selective attention, filtering out the noise to process only the most critical signals. The eighth blocker is strategic fog. This one is distinct from analysis paralysis. It is like having a map that doesn't match the terrain. You enter the ring with a script. If he jabs, I slip left, but then he feints. The script breaks. Your brain hits a 404 error. Flow is improvisational, like jazz. Strategic fog is trying to read sheet music while the band is playing a different song. You freeze because you are searching for a plan that doesn't exist. If you are stuck comparing reality to a script in your head, you are operating in the past while the fight is happening in the present. How to deal with strategic fog? You switch from algorithms to heuristics. Do not memorize scripts, internalize strategic concepts. Make them part of your being, part of your style. Concepts are flexible, scripts are brittle. Have you heard of the audience effect? It's the ninth blocker, and perhaps it's something you didn't give much thought, but it's affecting your flow. The moment you wonder, how do I look? Or the crowd is quiet, the ego has entered the ring. Flow is a selfless state. In a high-speed exchange, this split-second distraction is the difference between a slip and a knockout. So, being self-absorbed separates you from the action. To be truly dangerous, you must be nobody. Go offline. Sever the connection to the external world. There will be plenty of time after the sparring or fight to deal with defeat, victory, and everything in between that's going on in your life. Don't allow self-concepts of who you think you are or are not getting in the way. There is no crowd. There is no belt. There is only the mission, the code.